lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and I'm back talking some more Christmas comics. And this time, I'm talking about an issue that, man, I remember when I got this off the stands. I loved this run of Superman by Jeph Loeb and Ed McGuinness in the early 2000s. This book would have dropped. I mean, cover date's February of 2001, but those are always 2 months in advance. So this dropped in December of 2000. And I absolutely love it. And it says it right there on the cover. What do you get the JLA for Christmas? And that's literally what this comic is about. It's literally Superman meeting with his fellow teammates, set in the backdrop of, Luthor has just become president. It's still like Superman's at odds with himself about it because he doesn't understand why people would put him in office. But we also get these great scenes with him drawn by different artists as he visits the different members of the team. So we open up and it's not really tied too much into the story. This is kind of setting some stuff up that will come later in the Superman run. And, we're met with the Linear Men and, Matt Ryder, Hunter, Wave Rider, and lastly Larry Lee. And they were searching for Pluto, but it's been transformed into a mega weapon war world. And now in their deaths, and it's going to lead toward the Great Darkness unless... And then we get this tick, tick, tick. And I'm assuming she's going back in time because she clicked something on her wrist. And that's all we get of this. That's it. And that's going to lead to something, storyline in the future. Well, the future of this run. Not the future now. But now we're going to get these great scenes. Superman, Martian Manhunter, they're like meditating upside down. Plastic Man's like in a little bouncing ball on top of Superman. He's obviously trying to relax, and he can't. He's just not good at it. And, Martian Manhunter, understandable, given the circumstances. He just can't stop thinking about the American people voting for Luthor. He feels like they should have done something, and they didn't. And I like this because this interaction, they're both aliens, and, Martian Manhunter talks about envying him and how he's assimilated into his life on Earth. While he feels like a kinship towards humans, it's not one of those times. He's oddly kind of grateful about it. He just says the politics of our adopted world often defy logic, and without logic we are left with chaos. And that's such a good commentary on politics, and I have to say I wholeheartedly agree with that statement that Martian Manhunter says. I love that throughout this, Plastic Man is just changing into different things. Now he's a paper airplane, just making himself known, turns into this horn from a trade and stuff. And but Manhunter does tell Superman that first time he breaks the law you can count on me. And then he's like, well, what, Plastic Man's like, what about me? What, I don't get to say? He's like, and then I love the way they do the word balloon because you can just hear it in Superman's voice, and he's like, there's another way to think about it. What's worse than Lex Luthor being the president of the United States? And Superman's like, I don't know, what is? He's like, 2 Lex Luthors being president of the United States. And you see this little panel of Superman smirking. I just love that. I love it. And he's so satisfied that he got a grin. I forgot to say, Humberto Ramos is the artist for this particular story within this comic. And Superman leaves them with the gifts. You can see them there. And he gets Plastic Man rubber bands. And then he gets Martian Manhunter Choco's cookies, which basically Oreos. And that's a callback to, his obsession with those cookies from the Justice League run by DeMatteis, Giffen, and Maguire. And he's trying to convince Jean to give him some of his cookies. He's like, no. He's like, it's the holidays though, not where I come from. Then we get a really cool story with Aquaman by Rob Liefeld. They're underwater. Aquaman's kind of not against Luthor because Luthor's made all these promises about opening trade and technology more than anyone on the surface world has ever done. And he's supporting Atlantis, and Superman's like, yeah, that's just Luthor. Those are empty promises. And you can see the frustration. They better not be, Aquaman says. But just really cool to see Liefeld have his take on Aquaman and Superman and underwater. And he's like, I don't know if you exchange gifts this time of year. I'm like, well, my kingdom's always open. You can come learn whenever you like. And what does he give him? He hands him a snow globe. And you just see Aquaman kind of smirking, and then he rides off on his fucking giant seahorse. Another great one. And then we get Mike Wieringo with Green Lantern. Kyle Rayner was the main Green Lantern at the time, so he talks to him about voting. And he's like, I think of it sort of like this falling satellite. And he's like, we put them in space knowing they're going to fall down. And one is no better or worse than the other. So look, Luthor's a crook. But the guy before him could have been too. So like his outlook on you're picking the lesser of two evils. I mean, I kind of see that too. And he's like, Superman asks him, he's like, you vote, right? He's like, well, why do you do it? He says hope. The hope that maybe it'll make a difference this time. And I can understand that it's totally getting the different outlooks on people and why they do what they do and their opinions on politics. I just think it was like a really smart play, also in the backdrop of like giving these like Christmas gifts. So you get like a holiday comic, but then you're also like having a commentary on the political system in the America. And then he gives him his gift, and he gives him ring polish. Another funny little joke that he did along with those rubber bands. Now we get one of my favorites. We get an Art Adams story with the Flash. And I love this. Think you can keep up? Because no, Wally's faster than Superman. He's fast. I think he's the fastest character in DC Comics. I think that's still true to this day. Even faster than Barry. So, they're running and Wally's on his way to get some chocolates from San Francisco because it's Linda's favorite. And he talks about, Superman's like, oh, yeah, I was talking to Kyle. And like, oh, man, that guy owes me $75. And he's like, no, we were talking politics. So he kind of like digs on Kyle, saying that it must have been a short conversation. Now Superman's asking Wally if he votes. He's like, early and often, as Barry would say, For good or bad, he believes in the American way. So this is another kind of like viewpoint of voting and why you should or maybe you don't care about voting, right? So, and he's like, I don't want to drag Luthor out of that White House. I have to believe in the American system too. And as he flies off, he's like, oh, I want a rematch anytime. And what does he give Wally? Some tube socks. Now we get Wonder Woman. And immediately we get this dialogue of like, I don't care about Luthor. And so like they're going a different route. They're actually like fighting through it. And Ian Churchill did a great job on this as well. And she's, talking about how much she cares and she hates what the election's doing and it's making you distracted. That's why I've been able to pin you down twice. And you can't turn it into an obsession. He already defeated you. What is it that you want? And, just saying, like, I happen to be your best friend. I'm your best friend who happens to be a woman, and you need to set this aside, spend some time with Lois. And what is he? Then he has his gift for her, and he gives her Mjolnir. Then there's a little bit of a embrace that, borderline, I would say, kind of weird. But whatever. It's neither here nor there, I guess. Get a great Joe Madureira story with Batman. Not much is said between them. And, Batman calls him and he's like, wasn't it you who said we have to put our faith in the American people? And then you could see Superman kind of like, fuck, he's right, I did say that. That's it. Like, there's no other advice given. Hands Batman the gift, but says it's from Lois. So he says, we'll tell Lois thank you. And it's a magnifying glass. Kind of funny because he's a detective. Makes complete sense that would be the gift. And as he's about to fly away, he says, when the time is right, we'll take Luthor down. Because Batman knows it's only a matter of time. We end it back with Ed McGuinness. Superman's taking Lois. They're going to have a couple days with no phones, no two-way radios, no way of contacting anybody. Just going to be the two of them in the bottle city of Kandor. And then he starts saying the joke, what's worse than Lex Luthor being president? And that's how we end it. Great single one-and-done issue. Highly recommend picking this up. It is such a fun comic book. I just wanted to briefly kind of flip through it, show off this great cast of artists that came together to tell this like really fun story that while it has some serious tones when it's talking about the politics, it also has some really just fun and funny moments between Superman and his fellow members of the Justice League and really getting, like the different dynamics that he has with them because he has different relationships with each character. And I think those kind of really sing in this particular issue. So go pick it up. Check out the rest of the Christmas stuff that's going to be on the channel for this month. There's going to be a playlist. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.